The discovery of 3IAtlas was an absolute sensation. After all, it's only the third known interstellar object to enter our home world after Muamua and 2I Borisov. Since then, however, there has been speculation that our guess is not just a classic comet, but an extraterrestrial spacecraft spread by prominent experts such as AVI-Loeb. This crazy idea continues to dominate the headlines to this day. But now NASA has stepped in to reveal what 3IAtlas really is and why all the alien rumors don't stand up to scientific scrutiny. Today, we'll show you why such rumors spread so rapidly, how NASA solved the mystery, and what our interstellar visitor tells us about the hidden chemistry of distant star systems. The Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Loss Alert System is actually used to detect potentially dangerous asteroids and predict possible impacts on Earth. To do this, the Atlas telescope scans the entire sky every night for moving objects and sometimes uncover astonishing things. This was the case on July 1st, 2025, when an Atlas telescope in Chile identified a faintly glowing object moving rapidly across the night sky. Subsequent analysis of its orbit showed that this was not just any celestial body that had been caught in our net, but an object that is not gravitationally bound to the Sun. Instead, the orbit of this mysterious object was hyperbolic, which means nothing other than that it is shooting through the solar system like an arrow, and therefore does not originate from our home world. Astronomers christened the cosmic intruder 3IAtlas, with a 3 making it clear that this is only the third known interstellar object that we have detected in our home system. It's estimated to be between a few hundred and several kilometers in size. And at a speed of more than 200,000 km/h, it's racing through space at a significantly faster pace than its two predecessors. Due to its rarity, 3IAtlas represents an extraordinary research object for experts. After all, this visitor is bringing a wealth of valuable information practically right to our doorstep. Studying its composition and behavior could provide groundbreaking insights into how planets and comets form in other star systems. But not every researcher took such a sober view. This includes AVI-Loeb in particular, and that's not really surprising. On the one hand, the Harvard University astrophysicist already put forward a provocative thesis that Oumuamua could be an artificial solar sail. And on the other hand, his Galileo project has been dedicated to the targeted search for extraterrestrial intelligence for several years. Of course, Loeb did not leave the discovery of 3IAtlas uncommented. Instead, he pointed out in a scientific article and several blog posts that the object has a number of striking features. In detail, Loeb emphasized that the visitor initially showed no visible comet tail, and that it is following an extremely unlikely trajectory that brings it close to certain planets in the solar system. If the supposed comet continues to show no signs of outgassing or changes its trajectory behind the Sun, Loeb speculates this could be an indication of something artificial, perhaps even extraterrestrial technology that has deliberately entered our home world. Loeb went even further in his reasoning, considering it possible that the object came to us with hostile intent. In the same breath, however, and this is the crucial point, he emphasized that the most likely explanation for 3IAtlas remains as a completely natural comet. Accordingly, his remark should not be understood as a concrete alien warning, but rather as a call to sharpen the scientific eye for the unexpected. Nevertheless, the mere mention of extraterrestrial technology from the mouth of a Harvard professor was enough to trigger an unprecedented media response. International reports were full of sensational spaceship headlines. And just under 8 years after Oumuamua, the public was once again discussing whether it was really just an ordinary piece of space debris that had come our way. What NASA's investigations revealed. Admittedly, the idea that we have just come under the research gaze of an extraterrestrial civilization is undoubtedly spectacular. And yet we should not forget that science is not based on spectacular ideas but on bare facts. So what did NASA find out about 3IAtlas? Well, shortly after the discovery, NASA experts began to take a close look at the interstellar object both with ground-based telescopes and with the Hubble and Webb space telescopes. And at the end of the day, all observations came to the same conclusion. 3IAtlas behaves like a comet. Tom Statler, NASA's lead scientist for small bodies in the solar system, summed it up as follows. Quote, "It looks like a comet. It behaves like a comet. It is very similar in almost every way to the comets we know. The evidence overwhelmingly suggests that this object is a natural celestial body. It is a comet. Specifically, this means that 3IAtlas developed a bright coma and tail as it approached the Sun. In detail, this process is due to the Sun's heat causing ice on the surface of the chunk to evaporate. Furthermore, spectral analyses reveal the typical comet components of water, ice, and carbon dioxide, albeit in an unusually high ratio of CO2 to H2O. In this respect, 3IAtlas turns a pattern of our native comets upside down, and the reflected light also shows a slightly different polarization. However, according to experts, this is not a sign of an artificial alien design, but merely an indication of a different dust composition. But 3IAtlas still had a special surprise in store. At the beginning of September, astronomers suddenly observed a green glow around the object. In itself, such a coloration is not unusual, as it is normally caused by molecules such as dicarbon which flues in sunlight. However, earlier spectra of the comet showed little of this, so another molecule could be responsible for the color spectacle. The green glow is currently being investigated, and researchers are analyzing which gases could be responsible for this unexpected feature. Such findings provide experts with valuable insights into the chemistry of comets that originated in other star systems. But at the same time, NASA reminds us that comets are known for their strange behavior. Anyway, even in our solar system, they can suddenly become brighter or fade when ice collapses beneath the surface or dust is released. Accordingly, unusual properties are not evidence of an artificial origin, but rather expected characteristics of such icy bodies. What information does 3IAtlas contain? As we can see from a purely scientific point of view, everything indicates that 3IAtlas is not an extraterrestrial spacecraft, but a purely natural chunk of rock. But why is it so important? Well, quite simply, interstellar comets open windows to other worlds. Each of them carries the chemical and physical fingerprints of its place of origin. And in the case of 3IAtlas, the high proportion of carbon dioxide indicates that it must have originated in an extremely cold region of its original system, much further away from its star than is the case with most comets in the solar system. According to some studies, the object could even originate from the so-called thick disk of the Milky Way and thus be over 7 billion years old. By comparison, our Sun only saw the light of the cosmic world about 4.6 billion years ago. As a result, 3IAtlas is a real witness to a bygone era, a messenger from the early days of our galaxy that traveled billions of years through interstellar space before crossing our path. By studying it, we gain new insights into the formation and evolution of alien star systems and clues as to whether the processes that shaped our solar system were the norm or unique. Given NASA's official classification, the question now arises as to how those scientists who suspect that 3IAtlas is something other than a comet will proceed. Interestingly, this does not only apply to the much-discussed spacecraft theory. Researchers Suzanne Foner and Michelle Bannister recently suggested that the object is a planetary sea. Traditional models have difficulty explaining how gas giants can grow quickly enough before their gas disks disappear. However, a solid interstellar object such as 3IAtlas could act as a planetary seed, providing an existing core that accelerates the process by accumulating material. If this exciting hypothesis is correct, it would mean that our visitor embodies a potential building block of an alien planetary world. Okay, but what about Avi Lobo? Has he finally abandoned his alien theories? Well, not quite. Instead, the Harvard professor recently went one step further. In a further analysis of 3IAtlas, he emphasized that the comet shows no non-gravitational acceleration, which means that unlike many other comets, its orbit is not influenced by gas outflows. As an explanation, Lowe suggests that 3IAtlas must be extremely massive with a core several kilometers in diameter and a total mass of tens of billions of tons. If a sudden change in course occurs in the future that cannot be explained by natural outgassing, Loeb argues the only possibility left would be artificial control. Consequently, the real mystery will be whether 3IAtlas is simply an exceptionally heavy comet with special chemistry or something far more exotic. And if the latter is the case, the object could also open up a new lead to a completely different mystery. Lowe points out that 3IAtlas is crossing the same region of the sky where the mysterious WOW signal was discovered in 1977. This was a 72-second narrowband radio signal that is still considered the most promising candidate for an extraterrestrial message. However, the most promising candidate for your subscription remains a simple click. Just press the thumb icon and subscribe now to never miss a new video from us again. See you soon.